Pick things up with Dominic Grieve, who is going to try the latest manoeuvre, or it's being said you're going to try the latest manoeuvre to delay Brexit in Parliament today. Is that right?
I think we need to get two things in perspective. The Northern Ireland bill, the risk is obviously a no-deal Brexit. But what one can do about stopping a no-deal Brexit in itself, this may not be the best place to do it. But certainly there's been anxiety about the threat of proroguing Parliament. That is, if Parliament were to try to say they didn't want a no-deal Brexit or to take steps, that the government should simply decide to dispense with Parliament altogether. Now, that is unconstitutional and undemocratic, and that is the thing which I'm trying to look at. And if I can persuade my colleagues, I think this bill provides a vehicle by which we can ensure that the prorogation of Parliament can't happen.
What you're saying is that in October, as we approach that deadline, the government would have to come back to Parliament to talk about Northern Ireland.
Yes. And by doing that, it would also ensure that the idea that Parliament can be prorogued during that period can't happen. Clearly, there's also an issue about how you stop a no-deal Brexit. And there are other ways in which it may be possible to do that. But as I've always said, as I would like, so far as I can, to be a supporter of the Conservative Party and of my colleagues, I think one has to approach that incrementally. And the wise government will both decide not to go for a no-deal Brexit and certainly not to use prorogation in order to obtain it.
You did make an attempt in this area last week, which the Speaker didn't accept.
I come up with ideas from time to time, and if they commend themselves to my colleagues, we can get them going, and they also have to get past the Speaker. I have no complaint about the Speaker at all in respect of that. In any event, I think I have to recognise that what I sought to do last week might well not have been successful. So I'm just not going to look back on it, but I will, if I can, come up with ideas and present them to colleagues who share my views.
Are you more optimistic that this might work with the Speaker, or indeed secure a majority?
I think the question of this doesn't require the Speaker to do anything specific.
He's got to accept the amendments.
Well, he's got to enable the amendments to be put. Yes, that is true. But this is the amendment of a major piece of legislation, admittedly one we're taking through the Commons pretty quickly, but it is a perfectly ordinary process, and we are entitled in the course of that, as members of Parliament, to come up with amendments.
But he does have to accept it, and there are other important issues there.
Well, there are some amendments,
gay marriage, which are also...
You're absolutely right. There can be problems with amendments because of the arcane system that we have under our standing orders. Some amendments, which are tabled by backbenchers, may never be considered or taken. But nothing ventured, nothing gained. I'm hopeful at the moment that we may succeed in getting to a point where this amendment, or something very similar to it, because if people have got an alternative way of approaching this, I'm very happy to listen. And I've still got a bit of time today before the amendment needs to be tabled. So I'm talking to colleagues, and I hope very much that we will find a sensible way forward.
Nonetheless, leaving the technicalities aside for a moment, how confident are you now that no-deal Brexit can be stopped?
I think that the chances of a Prime Minister carrying out a no-deal Brexit, if there is a majority of the House of Commons that doesn't want it, are very slim indeed. And removing the possibility of prorogation makes them even slimmer. Obviously, if a Prime Minister can persuade the House of Commons that a no-deal Brexit is a good idea, he's fully within his rights to do it. And if the Commons decides that they want to support that course of action, then that's what we as a democratic parliamentary assembly are there to do. But attempts to ratchet no deal through against the majority wishes of the House of Commons should not happen. And in my view, we can put in place the necessary provisions to make sure it doesn't.
Dominic Grieve, thank you very much indeed.